Hi, welcome to Travel Tales with Judith. I'm Judith, and I share experiences and stories from a lifetime of journeying. If I'm at all like you, I worry sometimes that everything's going to go smoothly. Are the connections going to go smoothly? Is everything going to work, etc.? And most of the time, it amazingly does. It works. But I want to tell you about one story. This was from the late 70s, and my travel partner and I had found a charter flight that was going to go to London. And, my relatives are in England, and I wanted to spend some time in parts of England I hadn't been to before. And this was a really cheap deal. And we flew from Seattle to Stanstead Airport. Now, those of you who've come into England, into London, most of you know Heathrow. That's the biggest airport. And then there's Stanstead's a little bit more on the northeast side, uh, and it's a smaller airport. And that's where we came into. But before we even left Seattle, our plane was delayed. It was delayed for a number of hours, and we had a car rental set up that we would pick up the car in Stanstead Airport, and then we were going to be driving maybe 3 hours to a Manor House hotel in wasn't in Devon. Well, it was close to Devon anyway. And so that was the plan. But as time went on and we still hadn't taken off, I finally got worried about the car. And I contacted the car rental place and told them of our delay and that we probably weren't going to be getting in till something like 11 o'clock at night rather than 4 in the afternoon. At which time they told me, well, we can't keep your reservation then because no one's going to be here, so we're going to cancel your reservation. I found out later, of course, that if I hadn't called them, they would have been obliged to meet that flight and have that car ready. But oh no, I had to get everything straightened out in advance and let them know we were going to be really late. So we finally got into Stansted, and it was late, and there was no car rental. So we were told that the only way we could get our car rented would be to get over to Heathrow Airport and go from there. So I can't tell you exactly what time it is, but it was after 10. And I think we had to take a train. It was a train, I believe, and we had to change trains in London to get the train out to Heathrow. And we did all that. And this is, after a long flight, we were tired. We get to Heathrow. We went to the rental place. We were able to rent a car. We got in the car and we drove out to our hotel, arriving about 3 in the morning, driving into their parking lot. And I had also contacted them and said, I am so sorry, but we're going to be arriving in the middle of the night. From then, the trip went smoothly until a couple of days before we were going to come back. And I tried to confirm our charter flight and found out that things didn't look really too good at Stanstead Airport. And we had no choice but to go to the airport, although we have not been able to confirm our flight. And when we got there, we found out that charter company had gone bankrupt in the 2 or 3 weeks that we had been traveling. But they were trying to make arrangements for us to get on a different flight. And while that happened, however, Stansted Airport was in a bit of a mess. First of all, we were told that if we could get on a flight, we'd need to carry our own luggage because the baggage handlers had gone on strike. And there was no chance that they were going to be off strike that day or probably who knows when. So we said, okay, we'll carry our own baggage. We'll manage that. And then a body was found in Stansted Airport at the same time. I don't remember where it was found. My memory says it has something to do being found in some baggage area. And that really delayed things for a while because the police were coming in, of course, and doing all that they had to do. But finally, we found out that we had been put on another plane, and that we would be leaving within a reasonable length of time after we'd already been waiting a long time. But unfortunately, it wasn't going to go to Seattle. It was going to go to Newark. And then when we get into Newark, there wouldn't be anything else that night. So we were going to have to be in a hotel, and we'd have to get a plane to Seattle in the morning. So both directions on that trip, going and coming, were an absolute mess and caused all kinds of consternation and worry and trying to figure out in advance what was going to happen, which of course we couldn't do. But we went on the trip. We paid the cheap price. We got there. We had the trip, and we got home. And I guess that's the most important part, is just to ride with it and go with the flow, and it's all part of the journey.